Homegrown Radio.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Boys Will Be Boys. This is another special episode. I have a special guest today. His name is Bliss, and he is going to blow us away with the knowledge that he has on young people. Joining me today is my co-host, Token Toby.
AKA Toby, I said it twice, so you know that I mean it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, Bliss, tell us more about yourself. What inspired the name Bliss before we continue?
So funny enough, I always ask my father this. Bliss was inspired by a bouncer at some like club. So he saw the name and then he was like, you know what? Bliss actually sounds like the perfect name because I'm the firstborn. So he's just like, let me give him the name Bliss because he'll be perfectly happy. Like happiness is what he's
Wow.
bringing to the family.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Oh, speaking of being the firstborn, you mentioned that you're the firstborn. Tell me, growing up in Africa as a young boy, being the firstborn, are there any pressures that come around that?
There's a lot of pressure, but I feel like it's a blessing and a curse. Like
Mhm.
if it's pressure, you know, it always keeps you on your toes, you know, trying to
Mhm.
figure out like, okay, you are a role model first of all
Mm.
for the people who come after. So you have to ensure that you don't do anything wrong, or if you set a benchmark, you ensure that it's for others to jump off of. You know, you're trying to leverage, you know, that whole situation. So it's just ensuring that you are able to lead the pack, but also be led by those who are coming next. I'm also privileged enough to have brothers and sisters, so I can be with the bros, and then I can also, you know, try to set an example for my little sisters,
Wow.
so that they can find someone who's of not the same caliber, hopefully better, because that's what we always strive for. But at least they know that the foundation has been set by the males in the house. So those are like one of the responsibilities that we have as older siblings from
Wow.
both sides.
Wow. Did you ever feel pressured by your parents to to be this person or to be an example? You know, like how African parents would be like, your siblings are looking up to you. You hear that
Yeah.
your whole. I don't have that experience. I was looking up to my siblings because I'm like the third born out of four. But I used to hear them saying to my sister like, "You've got to do right. You've got to do And she had to do so much. She even went and played WNBA in the US. And I was like, I've got to get there as well, but there was this pressure that you could tell. So she was like the perfect sibling. She was never out. She didn't, she had good grades, and because of being the firstborn, and she had to lead by example. So for you being the firstborn, on top of that being a male, did your parents put pressure on you?
Yeah, they did when I was younger. Like my mom would always be like, "Yo, your brother looks up to you. What?"
Hey.
But then you reach a point where when you old enough now, you kind of do it yourself. Like you kind of look in the mirror and be like, "Yo, bro, like how you going to ensure that you are the best?" You know, you don't.
Yeah.
You reach a point where people don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
You just have
Yeah.
to be a beast.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
and then the rest will just fall into place. Because it's different if you're being forced to
Yeah.
be the best, or if you
Yeah.
want to do it yourself.
Yeah.
It's a different switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I relate to that 100% because obviously over time people have the experiences, and also it depends on the experiences that they have in terms of them, the time that they get to a point where they're like, I can actually do this myself. I need to, right? So when it's different when you're being forced, like you said, but it's also different. It's another one where it's another thing when you like you take accountability, because that's the word,
Exactly.
accountability and responsibility. When you're like, you know what, I'm actually gonna put this on my shoulders, and I'm not gonna complain. I'm just gonna do this, and that's the power of self and self motivation. Because sometimes for myself, for me it's more, I don't look out for advice a lot. I look within, because your experience, my experience, her experience is different. I could tell her something that I experienced and that she wants to experience, but then she could have another outlook on it. So that's why it's better to look within for advice. That's why it switches. Many people could tell you stuff, But whether you're gonna change is always gonna be up to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it comes to a point where you're like, you know what, Steph,
Yeah.
or what's
Yeah.
wrong with you?
Yeah.
Let's change this. Let's be better.
Yeah, yeah. Now we are speaking on boys will be boys right now, and you being the firstborn boy, are there any things or anything that you faced growing up that you would like to discuss? Any major highlights in your, upbringing, defining moment for you? Because not many boys are open and vulnerable. Men as well, especially young like you guys, they don't open up about the challenges they faced. And there's no one that hasn't faced challenges.
Yeah, no, for me, like, there was a lot of challenges. Like, from the beginning, like, I have a mother and a father on one side and a mother and a father on a different side. So I have siblings on both ends of the spectrum.
Wow.
So with my mom, I stay here with my little brother in Johannesburg, and then I have like another family in Durban. So
Wow.
it's being the older brother to both,
Wow,
families,
wow.
or being the oldest son in both families. So there's different dynamics.
Yeah.
So juggling that and also ensuring that, each sibling gets that specific attention, that unique attention from the older brother,
Yeah.
so that there's no favoritism among siblings.
Yeah.
So that's a major challenge. And then also trying to have time for yourself.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of siblings that I have. Sometimes you get to forget to just be on your own and to just, grow yourself instead of like growing other people. And then it's just the distance, having siblings in different parts of the country. It does become taxing because you still want to be a part of their lives. You don't want to just be that brother's like, I know he stays in Johannesburg, I haven't seen him in years. So I try not to have that. I try balance the whole
balance
thing.
the two. Yeah. So when I was doing research on you, I saw that your father wrote books, and so did you just write a book. And so tell me, was that inspired by being the firstborn and wanting to follow in his tracks, or you genuinely had this desire to to write books and to deal with youth as well? What inspired that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've been a writer since like high school, and I think it was just him trying to, igniting that. It's like, instead of just writing bars, poetry, spoken word, why don't you put something in a book? And I guess my interest for like what's in the content of the book, it actually like allowed me to have a package, write something that's of substance. Because at the end of the day, I didn't want to write something that doesn't carry weight, and it doesn't inspire the youth.
Absolutely.
And the youth is all that I'm about. The organization that I'm part of is all about the youth. So it just made sense to just mesh the two together. And yeah, he started it, and I was just like, yo, let me do one better, because that's another thing. He's the OG. I would consider him the OG, and he always says that if I do something, the whole purpose is for you to do it better than me. Kanye West says it himself. If you can do it better than me, then you do it. So I did it, and then I had that book, and then he's been proud. And then now the siblings can see that, writing a book at a particular age is possible. Maybe I can write it younger.
Book too.
So it's trying to ensure that we inspire in subliminal ways, and then in some direct ways.
Wow. So tell us more about your youth development program. How does it benefit the youth? There's some young boys listening to the show right now, even young girls listening right now. Tell us a bit more about that.
So the organization that I'm part of is called the X Factor Youth. And the reason why it's called the X Factor Youth is because in maths, or when you're doing treasure hunts, there's always X somewhere. In mathematics, X is a value. And before you solve X, there's certain variables that contribute to that X. So in real life, as a human being, your X is your family, your environment, all that are variables that go into what you become. You are a product of your environment. So that's the one side. And then the other side, it's an abbreviation. X Factor stands for excellence, exceptionality, extraordinariness, to exceed expectations and to go the extra mile. So what we want to do is encourage people to pursue excellence in whatever field that they wish to do. To just have the support, and to make sure that when they do something, they do it to the best of their ability.
Wow. That's amazing.
There's this one thing that looking at the X Factor Youth, there's this thing where a person comes up with a name or a brand for something, and you could tell if this person was intentional with a brand by how they present themselves, right? So if
Yeah.
Stephanie says, well, I'm bright, my brand is about being bright and all of that stuff. Bright in the sense of fashion clothes, your sense of mind, the way you are around people. Are you smiling? Are you happy? Do you
Yeah.
show your teeth all the time? Type of thing. So when you represent that brand, you represent it to the fullest. And with you, I can believe you totally 100%. I'm sure you can believe
appreciate
me, right?
it.
You can
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
You can
I
believe
really
him.
do.
Remember, I'm a brain practitioner. I know I can.
Oh,
read, I
yes.
can read minds.
Hey guys, don't try lie to Steph. It's not worth it.
No, not at all.
It's not worth
at
it.
all.
Body
Wow.
language is everything as well. But yeah, so when you say that X factor, the youth X factor, or X factor youth, sorry, it kind of blends because first of all you are youthful
Mm,
in your mindset and your thinking,
yeah.
but also at the same time you have an ancient type of mindset. So you're pretty smart as well,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the X factor that comes with
Mm.
the youthful type of,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that it's really dope that you actually represent who you are and who your brand is
Yeah.
in the right way possible, and you are really pushing it.
Yeah.
I really respect. I've seen your work. You went around schools, even to different schools as well,
Wow.
and he really
Wow.
pushes his stuff,
Wow.
and he makes his thing not even about his brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's beautiful is that he makes it about the people.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. You know, a lot of boys and men struggle with identity. That is a big issue. And so when you know who you are, when you are complete with who you are, when you accept who you are, it's so much easier to push your goals, your dreams, your desires, because you are whole with yourself. But when you are uncertain of who you are, then you make a lot of uncertain decisions. And so that's also something that's very important. But here we're also speaking to a poet slash musician, and I'm going to put him on the spot because podcasts shouldn't be boring. He's going to spit a bar for us right now.
Let's believe.
All
Let's
right.
believe.
All right. Let's go. Conversation with my conscience. I'm filling it with knowledge because knowledge is power, which
go.
equals profit. Hustle game lit like it's connected to an on switch. It was never the plan. I'll be quite honest. And now I got the pilot in the cockpit. Now I'm on my get up and grind. That's when the clock ticks. When I'm in the studio, you know I rock this like Muhammad in the studio. I'ma pop it. Look. Got visions of me thinking about my ex, no. Fast forward, now I'm thinking about success. I got a factor like I'm looking for that ex. Told my mother and my father that I'm gonna try my best.
Oh,
Looking out the window thinking about the future. Cause I have a game like a Martin Luther. My life moving fast like I'm rocking boosters. I'm a G up in the game like I'm Larry Hoover. My pops told me that I gotta be successful. So much pressure, I'll be honest, it was quite stressful. Conscious telling me it's a test. What I gotta do now is to try and do my best, yes. Non-stop, I'll be working every day. Cause it's all about the money and it's all about the pay. So I grind every way, even when these people hate. When they try to catch up, it's already too late. And the music is the motive like I'm trying to get paid. But above all else, I'm just trying to get paid. Trying to pay for all my family's medical aid. And to show all these haters that Bliss hasn't made. Ay.
blissful moment. Woo,
What a blissful moment.
Noise in the background. Noise in the
Ah, la,
background.
la.
Let's hear. Yeah.
What a blissful
Yeah,
moment.
blissful
Oh my
moment.
gosh. He spoke about future. He spoke about success. He spoke about Larry Hoover. He spoke about X.
I think your nickname should just be X. Bro.
That was
Yeah, just be
X Factor X.
X,
That was really amazing. And you see, that is talent. That is talent. I did not plan this with him at all, but he
Yeah.
was ready. And it's important for young boys, young men to be ready for anything, because opportunities won't come and find you. You have to go and find the opportunities, and you always have to be ready. You always have to be ready. And so, having said that, you know, is there anything that you would like to say that would inspire any young boys that want to be spoken word poets, or that want to just have a blissful life?
Definitely. Just to touch on the whole identity thing. Like one of the things that we speak about at X Factor Youth is your derived identity and your assigned identity. So with your derived identity, you are given a surname, you are given a name, you are given a family. So you have to represent that in a particular way. Then there's your assigned identity or your prescribed. Like you want to go out there and become something of yourself and control the narrative. So it's just balancing the two, but it always points down to knowing what your identity is is, so that
Yeah.
you can make your own identity in the future.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then when it comes to inspiring the youth and ensuring that they pursue excellence, it doesn't matter like what you want to do. All you have to do is get the support and get the mentorship. Family could support you, but if they don't, those are not the only people to go to. I will tell you like a story. Like my family, my dad, you know, he wasn't interested in this rap thing.
Yeah.
But he was like, if you are able to mesh it with like what we do at X Factor Youth, then we can see like how we can go with it, because I mean it's part of your purpose at the end of the day. He probably wasn't interested in it, but he's like, how do we ensure that we align it with your purpose? And then it just made sense that you know, every time I go out to schools, you know, when there's Konama screws, you know, they want to hear bars. You have to bring the bars.
Appeal to your
exactly.
audience.
Because the audience is definitely important. Like you want to ensure that they can relate. And if people like are musicians or they're poets, like you don't want to tackle them in like a very traditional way. Like you want to hit it with bars, you want to hit them with punchlines. They'd be like, yo, like what he's saying,
especially if
it's wisdom. Exactly.
Well, there we have it. I now have a new name for this podcast. This particular podcast is called Walking in Your Purpose. And so that's very, very important as young boys, as young men, because there's so much stigma around boys and men. Boys are this, boys are that, boys are dogs. Where have you seen a boy that looks like a dog? Where? Men are dogs, men are this, men are, you know. That's only because of the lack of identity. They don't know who they are in society because we've painted them to be such terrible people. But if we provide love, mentorship, youth programs, acceptance, you know, then we will find, you know, such an improvement with regards to boys and men. And so how do they join your program?
We are open to anyone who's willing to pursue excellence. Like there's no set, you know, you have to have an enrollment form. You can just DM us, or you can just highlight us, be like, yo, you want to be part of the program? And then we put you on. Like we're trying to spread our wings as much as possible.
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
we don't want to do the formalities. We just want to ensure that whoever wants to come on does not have any barriers. Like they just jump in and be part of the gang. So because X Factor Youth is family at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Respect. That's a new way of adding to your or having. So the youthful way, you could probably say, is your CV is basically who you are.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's the way of even getting to your thing. I think that's what most things are doing now. I think your CV really is what can you do. It's not even about your paperwork or what people said about you.
Absolutely.
It's what. Let me see what's happening now. If you want to be a waiter and have a part-time job, let me put you on a Tuesday afternoon where it's busy, and let's see what you can do about it, instead of what's written on the paper. So I respect that. That's how you guys do things, because you find that people don't have a CV but are great as they can do things. You know. So respect to you, Bliss. Respect to what you're doing. Please keep pushing.
Respect. Thank you.
One thing, the people need you. Right.
They do.
The youth really needs you. The world needs saving. And you're part of the solution, not the problem. And make sure that you guys are inspired. And even if you don't do what he's doing, whatever you're doing, make sure you understand that you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for people that are coming after you. Because you're building a legacy.
Absolutely.
Be a part of the solution, not the problem. This is Boys Will Be Boys.
Thank you so much, Bliss, for this wonderful interview. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. Honestly, it was just so amazing to just hear from you. And this is Boys Will Be Boys. We're having really deep discussions with boys here. And so we thank you so much for being our special guest today. Thank you to my co-host, Token Toby. Something, you know the name. So I'm going to get off now because I'm going for rap lessons. So peace out to everybody.
We out.